wasting time. That's the truth, plain and simple. You're out here scrambling, trying to do everything at once, thinking more is better, thinking hard work alone is enough. It's not. Focus. That's the word you've been ignoring. 80% of what you want, 80% of your damn results come from just 20% of your actions. The rest, it's noise, distraction, filler. You've been spreading yourself thin, haven't you? Jumping from task to task like a headless chicken, hoping something sticks. That's not strategy, that's desperation. Look at the numbers, they don't lie. Every result, every win, every breakthrough, it came from a tiny fraction of what you did. The rest was bullshit, busy work, activity that felt productive but didn't do shit to move the needle. Think back. When did you achieve your biggest wins? Was it when you were drowning in chaos, juggling 10 things at once? Or was it when you locked in on one thing, laser focused, and tore through it like a madman? Exactly. You already know this. You just refuse to admit it, because admitting means accepting you've been wasting energy. You've got limited resources, time, energy, focus. These aren't infinite, and you've been treating them like they are. You think grinding 24/7 makes you unstoppable? No. It makes you inefficient. It makes you predictable. If you're doing 100 things, you're doing none of them well. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things. The 20%. Stop doing what feels good and start doing what works. Feelings are irrelevant. Results are everything. You want to win? Fine. Then cut the crap. Analyze. Where's the leverage? What's the 20% that drives the 80%? That's where your time goes. Nothing else matters. Not the fluff, not the extra, not the noise. Just the core. You've got to kill your ego here. That's the hardest part, isn't it? Letting go of the illusion of control. You want to think everything you do matters, but it doesn't. Most of it is a waste. That's not an insult. It's a fact. If you keep clinging to every little task, every little detail, you'll drown. You've got to focus on the power moves, the high-impact actions, the 20%. Let me break it down for you. Look at your tasks. Look at your goals. Now ask yourself, what's the smallest number of moves I can make to achieve the biggest results? Don't lie to yourself. Be brutal. Cut out the fluff. If it's not directly tied to progress, it's trash. Trash it. Burn it. Walk away from it. Think about the Pareto principle. 80-20. It's everywhere. In business, in fitness, in learning, in everything. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of your skills come from 20% of the practice. Hell, 80% of the problems you face come from 20% of the causes. It's a universal truth. Ignore it at your own peril. Now, apply that to your own damn life. Where's your 20%? What's the handful of actions, relationships, skills, or habits that produce the lion's share of your results? You need to find that and go all in. Double down, triple down, milk it for everything it's worth. Stop chasing every shiny object. Stop doing what's easy or convenient. Do what matters. Discipline. That's the secret sauce. Not motivation, not inspiration. Discipline. The ability to stick to the 20%, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. That's what separates winners from losers. Anyone can grind for a day, a week, a month. But sticking to the essentials day in and day out, that's a different game entirely. And don't give me that excuse that you don't have time. Bullshit. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. The problem isn't time, it's priorities. You're too busy trying to do everything, so you end up doing nothing that matters. If you focused on the 20%, you'd have time left over. But no, you'd rather spread yourself thin and complain about how busy you are. Pathetic. Let's talk about failure for a second. You're scared of it, aren't you? That's why you cling to busy work. It's safe. It feels productive. But it's really just a shield. If you focus on the 20%, you risk failing at what actually matters. And that terrifies you. But guess what? Failure is the price of entry. You can't succeed without risking failure. So stop hiding. Face it head on. Every second you waste on the 80% is a second stolen from the 20%. You're robbing yourself of progress, of potential, of power. It's not just inefficient, it's self-sabotage. You're better than that. You know you are. So prove it. Focus. Prioritize. Execute. This isn't just about working smarter, it's about living smarter. The 80-20 rule doesn't just apply to work, it applies to everything. Your relationships, your habits, your health. Find the 20% that gives you the most, return and double down. The rest is noise. Look, you're either going to take this seriously or you're going to keep lying to yourself. But understand this. Every second you spend on the wrong things is a second you'll never get back. You've got one shot at this. One life. Don't waste it on the 80%. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna keep spinning your wheels? Or are you going to focus on what matters? The choice is yours. But don't you dare say you didn't know better. You know now. You've got no excuses left. Execute. No excuses. That's the mantra now. Every time you feel yourself drifting back into that busy work trap, remind yourself, excuses don't build empires. Results do. If you're not chasing results, what the hell are you even doing? Wasting air? burning daylight. The clock's ticking, and it's not waiting for you to figure your shit out. Let's get deeper into it. Let's strip away the fluff and talk raw numbers, because that's what matters. You've got 24 hours in a day. Take out sleep, meals, the basics. You've got about 16 usable hours if you're disciplined. That's 960 minutes. Out of those, only 20% are going to drive your progress. That's 192 minutes. 3 hours and 12 minutes. That's all you need to crush it if you focus on the right things. But are you? Or are you pissing those minutes away scrolling, overthinking, procrastinating? The data doesn't lie. It never does. Track your time for a week. Write it all down. Every minute. You'll see the truth staring you in the face. 80% of your time is spent on crap that doesn't matter. Meetings that go nowhere. Chores that don't move the needle. Distractions you justify because they're easy. But easy doesn't get you anywhere. It keeps you comfortable, and comfort is the enemy. You think you're grinding, but you're not. Real grinding is about precision. It's about saying no to 80% of the noise and going all in on the 20% that counts. That's where the magic happens. That's where you build momentum. And once you have momentum, you're unstoppable. But you can't build it if you're scattered. Now let's talk systems. You think success is about willpower? Think again. Willpower is a joke. It's a limited resource. You need systems, ruthless, efficient systems that force you to stay in the 20%. Automation, delegation, elimination. If it doesn't fit the 20%, it's got to go. Period. No exceptions. Look at the greats. The ones who dominate their fields. They're not running around doing everything. They're locked in, hyper-focused, making every second count. They don't waste time on the bottom 80% because they know it's irrelevant. They've hacked the game. They've found their leverage, and they exploit it relentlessly. That's what you need to do. Leverage. That's the word you're not thinking about enough. What's the leverage in your life? What's the small action that creates massive impact? It's not doing more, it's doing smarter. Find the lever, pull it hard, and watch everything else fall into place. It's not magic, it's math. Let's say you're building something, a business, a skill, a body of work. You don't need to master every detail. You don't need to know everything. You need to know the critical 20% that drives the 80%. Identify it, obsess over it, execute it flawlessly. The rest, forget it. Let it rot. It's not worth your time. This applies to people too. Let's get real. 80% of your problems come from 20% of the people in your life. Toxic, useless, draining. Cut them out. Ruthlessly. You don't owe anyone your time, your energy, your focus. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. On the flip side, 80% of your success will come from 20% of the people who support you, challenge you, push you to be better. Invest in those relationships. Double down on them. They're your allies. And don't think this is just some business strategy. This is life. Everything you do, every choice you make, it's all 80-20. The food you eat, the habits you build, the skills you practice, 20% of those things will determine 80% of your results. So stop wasting time on the bullshit and focus on what matters. You've got to train your mind for this. It's not natural. The human brain loves distractions. It loves the illusion of progress. You've got to rewire it, discipline it, force it to prioritize. That's not easy, but it's necessary. You think the top 1% got there by accident? No. They trained themselves to think differently, act differently, live differently. They became ruthless with their time and energy. And you can too. So, here's the game plan. Step 1. Identify your 20%. What's the handful of actions, relationships, or habits that give you the biggest return? Write them down. Be specific. Don't generalize. Step 2. Eliminate the 80%. Cut the distractions, the fluff, the noise. If it's not directly tied to your 20%, it's out. No excuses. Step 3. Systematize. Build habits and systems that lock you into the 20%. Automate the repetitive. Delegate the unnecessary. And eliminate the rest. Every day, you wake up with a choice. Waste your time on the 80% or dominate your 20%. Choose wisely, because the clock's ticking and time doesn't care about your excuses. Execute now. You know what the problem is? You overcomplicate everything. You've convinced yourself it has to be hard, messy, chaotic for it to be meaningful. That's the lie. The truth, simplicity wins. Every time. Cut the fat, strip it down to the essentials, and attack. The more you simplify, the faster you move, and the harder you hit. Let's keep it statistical, because that's how you win this. If 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts, then every second spent on the wrong things is a second stolen from your future. It's subtraction. Not neutral, not harmless. Stolen. You're bleeding time and energy into the abyss, and for what? To feel busy? To avoid the hard choices? That's weakness. Weakness disguised as effort. Here's a formula for you. Output equals intensity multiplied by focus. You can grind all you want, but if your focus is split, your output is garbage. And if your intensity is weak, even the right focus won't save you. You need both. Razor-sharp focus and ruthless intensity. That's how you flip the equation in your favor. Think about a sniper. One shot, one kill. They don't spray bullets everywhere, hoping to hit something. They line up the shot, wait for the perfect moment, and execute. That's you now, a sniper in your own life. You line up your target, the 20%, and eliminate everything else. No hesitation, no second guessing. Let's talk about your goals. You've got too many, don't you? You're chasing 10 different things, thinking more goals mean more chances to win. Wrong. More goals mean more distractions, more dilution of effort. You need fewer goals, not more. One or two that really matter. That's it. The rest is just noise. Burn it, forget it, and don't give me that bullshit about wanting balance. Balance is a lie. Balance is mediocrity. You want results? Then you've got to be unbalanced. You've got to go all in on the things that matter and let the rest fall to the side. That's not chaos. That's strategy. Controlled imbalance in the name of dominance. Let's dive deeper into leverage because you're still not getting it. Leverage is about small inputs creating massive outputs. Think about it. One lever moves a boulder. One idea sparks a revolution. One decision changes a life. You don't need to do 100 things. You need to do the right thing. The one move that cascades into everything else. That's leverage. Find it. Use it. Time for another dose of reality. You're not as productive as you think you are. Most of what you're doing is filler. Tasks that feel important, but aren't. Meetings, emails, minor tweaks. They're not moving the needle. They're time suckers. Parasites. You need to cut them out ruthlessly. Ask yourself, is this part of the 20%? If the answer is no, drop it. Don't think twice. Here's a challenge. For the next week, track everything you do, every task, every minute. Be brutally honest. At the end of the week, analyze it. Highlight the 20% that brought the most value. You'll be shocked. Most of your time is wasted, but now you'll know. And once you know, you can't go back to ignorance. You have to act. You think you're busy, but busy isn't the same as effective. Busy is what people do when they're avoiding the real work. It's a crutch, a shield. Stop being busy. Start being effective, focused, precise. A scalpel, not a sledgehammer. And let's get one thing straight. You're going to fail at this at first. You're going to slip back into old habits, get distracted, waste time. That's fine. Failure is part of the process. But every time you fail, you learn. You adapt. You get better. Progress isn't linear. It's messy. But if you stay focused on the 20%, you'll keep moving forward. Now, about excuses. You've got a million of them, don't you? Not enough time. Too many responsibilities. Bad circumstances. Excuses are the language of the weak. Winners don't make excuses. They find solutions. They adapt, they pivot, they execute. You're either making progress or making excuses. You can't do both. Think about your competition. They're out there grinding too, but most of them are stuck in the 80%, wasting time, spinning their wheels, convincing themselves they're working hard. That's your advantage. While they're distracted, you're focused. While they're busy, you're efficient. While they're drowning in chaos, you're dominating with precision. This isn't just a mindset, it's a lifestyle, a philosophy. 80-20 is the lens you look through now. Every decision, every action, every relationship, you evaluate it through this principle. Is this part of the 20%? If yes, double down. If no, eliminate it. Simple, ruthless, effective. Let's talk speed. You think speed comes from working faster? No. Speed comes from clarity, knowing exactly what matters and ignoring everything else. When you focus on the 20%, you move faster because you're not wasting time on the 80%. You become a bullet, targeted, unstoppable. And here's the real kicker. The 20% isn't fixed. It evolves. What works today might not work tomorrow. You have to keep analyzing, keep adapting, keep refining. Complacency is the death of progress. Stay sharp. Stay hungry. So here's the question you need to ask yourself every damn day. Am I focusing on the 20%? If the answer is no, fix it. Immediately. No hesitation, no excuses. This is your life, your results, your legacy. Don't let the 80% steal it from you. Now go, execute, dominate. Let the 80% rot. You've got work to do. You're still here? Good. That means somewhere in that stubborn brain of yours, you're starting to get it. But let me tell you something. It doesn't stop with understanding. Knowing isn't enough. You've got to do. Action is what separates the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. And you're not here to dream. You're here to win. Let's peel back another layer. You think effort equals results, but it doesn't. Smart effort equals results. The wrong effort just wears you out. You can work yourself into the ground, but if you're running in the wrong direction, all you're doing is getting tired. You don't win races by running harder. You win by running smarter. Here's another stat for you. 80% of breakthroughs happen after you've already cut the noise. That's right. It's not just about finding your 20%. It's about doubling down on it, refining it, squeezing every last drop of value out of it. The real magic happens when you take something good and make it unstoppable. That's where the elite live. That's where you're headed if you stay disciplined. Let's talk about ruthlessness, because you're going to need it. Ruthlessness with your time. Ruthlessness with your focus. ruthlessness with yourself. You've got to stop coddling your weaknesses. Stop excusing your distractions. Stop justifying your failures. You're either committed or you're not. There's no middle ground. Half-assed effort gets half-assed results. And don't think for a second that you're going to find time for this. You don't find time. You take it. You carve it out of the bullshit that's clogging up your life. You take it back from the pointless tasks, the dead-end conversations, the endless distractions. Time is your most valuable resource, and you've been letting it slip through your fingers like sand. No more. Start being honest with yourself. What's actually moving the needle? Not what feels good, not what's easy, not what keeps you busy. What's delivering results? That's where your focus belongs. Everything else is irrelevant. And yeah, that's gonna mean making some hard choices. It's gonna mean letting go of things you thought mattered. But that's the price of winning. You want to be comfortable, or do you want to be great? Because you can't have both. Comfort is a trap. It keeps you in the 80%. It tricks you into thinking you're safe when really you're stagnant. Growth happens in discomfort. Success lives in the 20% where things are hard, messy, uncertain. That's where you need to be. And let me be clear, you're going to hate it at first. Your brain is going to rebel. It's wired to conserve energy, to avoid risk, to stick to what's familiar. But you're not your brain. You're the one in control. You're the one who decides what gets your focus, your energy, your time. Don't let your primitive instincts dictate your future. Let's bring in some numbers again. You want to master a skill. You don't need 10,000 hours. You need 2,000 of the right hours. The hours spent on the 20% that actually builds mastery. You want to grow your business? Stop chasing every opportunity and focus on the 20% of clients or products that bring in the most revenue. You want to improve your health? Focus on the 20% of habits that make the biggest difference. Sleep, nutrition, movement. See the pattern yet? It's all about leverage. You keep coming back to that word because it's the truth. The leverage is always in the 20%. The small things that create big results. The trick is finding them, and once you do, guarding them with your life. Don't let anyone or anything steal your focus from them. That's your edge. That's your advantage. And don't think this is a one and done deal. This is a constant process. Every day, every week, every month, you've got to reassess. What's working? What's not? What's the new 20%? The moment you stop refining, you start slipping. And slipping is unacceptable. You're not here to settle. You're here to dominate. Now, let's address something you've probably been avoiding. sacrifice. Yeah, you're going to have to give things up. Comfort, distractions, even relationships. Not everyone is going to understand your focus, your intensity, your drive. They're going to call you obsessive, unbalanced, maybe even insane. Let them. Their opinions don't matter. Results do. And don't kid yourself into thinking this is temporary. Oh, I'll grind for a year and then I'll relax. No, you won't. If you really want to be great, this is a lifestyle. This is who you are now. A person who focuses on the 20%. A person who executes with precision. A person who doesn't waste time on excuses or distractions. You think that sounds harsh? Good. It's supposed to be. Winning isn't soft. Success isn't gentle. If you're not willing to get uncomfortable, to push harder, to focus sharper, then you're not ready for this. And that's fine. But don't sit there and pretend you want it if you're not willing to pay the price. So here's your challenge, your mission, your command. Live the 80-20. Every decision, every action, every thought, run it through the filter. Is this part of the 20%? If not, drop it. Move on. No hesitation, no excuses, no second guessing. Be relentless, be ruthless, be unstoppable. And when you start seeing results, and you will, don't get complacent. Don't start coasting. Double down, triple down, keep refining, keep focusing, keep executing. Because this isn't a sprint, this isn't a marathon, this is your life. And you don't get a second chance, so make it count. All of it. Every damn second.